Today I'll be showing you how to create an iFirm return. So in doing so, our starting point is going to be CCH. So here we're in the tax return tab with a brand new client that we haven't created a tax year for. So the starting point for us will be to create a new tax year for this client. A caveat that the starting tax year for iFirm is 2025, so anything prior to that, you won't have the capabilities to create that tax return in iFirm. The default selection will be Personal Tax Central. So I'll select the 2025 year, and now we've got the ability for us to select iFirm. At the moment, the functionality to roll forward is disabled, given this is a brand new client and a brand new tax year. If we did have a prior tax year, we will be able to roll forward all of the supported data sources into iFirm. We also give you the capability to link to any of the existing workflows that you might have created bespoke, or if you are using any of the standard workflows that we have available. So I'll just link that. And what the system's doing now is just generating that client and moving the client's details into the cloud. So we're transferring things like the client name, the client code, the national insurance number, UTR. So any details that exist within the client contact will be pushed through into the cloud. Here is our blank slate, given we haven't rolled anything forward from the prior year. And the key difference between iFirm and Central is we don't provide you with the full list of all of the supplementary pages that we support, given the feedback from customers was they wanted a more streamlined user experience. So we can start building up the tax return by adding in some of the data. So here is a list of all of the supported supplementary pages that we have currently developed in iFirm. So let's say this is a basic sole trader. We can start to build our tax return. So we can add in some interest from UK banks, UK unit trust. Let's say this client is also an accidental landlord, so they've got one ordinary property. They've also got some other taxable income, some student loan repayments, and then they've also got a blind person's allowance. So we can add all of those into our tax return, and then we can start to do some data entry. If I was to go back into Central, we can now see that for this client, we've got the tax year created, we've got the type, and then the application it sits in. If I was to now go into another client to start to continue to do my data entry, we can see here we've got some prior tax years that we've worked on for this client, and then we've got the 2025 SA 100 data entries in progress as a status, and then the application is iFirm. So we can click on the year and we'll be redirected into iFirm, and then we can see that for some of the pages we've actually completed some of the data entry, and these have all been marked as complete. Given I know this client pretty well, I know they've got some self-employment that we haven't added, so we can add that in, enter the business name, and then select that form. We can then start to do some data entry, and where we've got the business income and expenses as well as the balance sheet, given we also service this client for accounts, we can also link and pull through the accounts data from CCH iFirm accounts production. We can select the business, got Harry Potter, And then we are given a few details in terms of the accounting period, the trading name, the status of the accounts and whether it's ready for tax. And in this case, it's still in draft. And then the last time this information was updated within accounts. We can then create that link and then import the data. We do give you a summary view of the balance sheet information, and if we're happy with that, we can then import that into the tax return. So if I now scroll into my business income and expenses, we can now see that this has been populated. So our turnover and some additional information around the expenses have been pulled through from accounts, as well as the balance sheet as well. Having looked at their wages, let's say this has increased by 10% in the prior year, we can go in and add in a note. And we can save that. If we're happy with the data entry, we can then mark this as complete and save it. Earlier, I showcased how we add in information into the tax return. But if we have added in a page that isn't relevant anymore, or we added it in by accident, we can just simply delete the form from the tax return. And in this instance, we also get a message to let us know that for the NIC adjustments, this also needs to be removed given the self-employment's been deleted. If we're happy with the way the tax return is shaping up, we can have a quick view of it, and we give you the option to view with the IR mark data or with the latest data. And then that will just run some pre-validation checks. And then it's got our tax return here. And then we can also kind of flick through the pages utilizing this drop down. We can also go in and view our tax calculation, and we give you the option to download this as a PDF. If we're ready to do the filing, we can go into the finalized tax return. We can add in any attachments. So here we've already got one attachment added, which is the nationwide bank statement. So we can have a quick view of that just to make sure it's the right attachment, which it is. And then we can upload any additional attachments as well. So we've got some Bank of Scotland bank statements that we've just added in. And then that will just let us know that we also need to update the validation checks and the IR mark. We can then go into the validations, and this is essentially where we can generate our IR mark, run our testing live, and get any feedback in terms of any errors that exist as an outcome to those testing live and pre-validation checks. Here we can also create our tax bundle. So within our new print and view option, we do allow you to generate your tax bundle based on your audience. So if you wanted to generate a different tax bundle to send to your client for client approval versus what you would submit to HMRC, we now provide you with the capability to do that. So in this client copy, we want to be able to send everything, so we won't make any adjustments to this. But for the HMRC copy, let's say we didn't want to send any of the attachments, so we can unselect the attachments, and then the system will remember that for the future. So in this instance, if I was to go back to the client copy, we've got the three attachments, and then in the HMRC copy, we've only got the one, which is the tax calculation. What we will be adding in as part of future developments is the backing schedule. So you'll be able to select all of your backing schedules to attach to your tax bundle, as well as your cover letter to send to your client. So those functionalities will be coming towards the back end of the year, with a cover letter being delivered early next year, given we want to enhance the capability. We can now choose to save our selection, and again this will generate the tax bundle for us to download. This might take a few minutes or a few seconds, and then we get to view. Again, because we haven't updated the IR mark, we do get that error warning just to let us know that we do need to update it. For any of our existing customers that use our document management system, we have released a capability for us to send the tax bundle to CCH document management, and it will send it to the right assignment for the right client for the right tax year. We are also going to be adding in functionality around the client approval so that you can send the tax bundle for e-signature within the iFirm platform. And that's a brief overview of iFirm Personal Tax.